important. To the ancients, the Nile was a god to be venerated, as was the Rhine, an infinite source of European myths, or the Amazonian forest, the mother of forests. Throughout the world, nature was the abode of the divinities that gave the forest, the desert, or the mountains a personality which commanded worship and respect. The earth had a soul. To find that soul again, to give it new life, that is the essence of Rio, unquote.
And we know the people who were behind Rio.
Right.
For sure, in general, not only your favorite Canadian who's recently passed away,
right,
but also people like Stephen Rockefeller were there promoting those types of things.
Absolutely, and so this is that intersection between politics and religion, because what I just read to you is very religious. In fact, that last section is classical paganism.
Indeed. Well, where's this taking the world? We have the Christian tradition churches, if you will, and then you have the New Age / pagan oriented churches, and they all seem to be going in the same direction.
Right.
Is there a merger down the road? Is there something like a merger going to take place here, do you think? Because they're both beginning to pursue identical ideologies about worshiping the earth.
Right. I don't necessarily see this as being, let's say, an official merger. It's an merger. It's an emergence of, let's say, a common consciousness.
Exactly.
Where all of them are agreeing, even though they don't necessarily hold hands as an organization, or they don't hold hands politically, but there is definitely a similarity of consciousness, a shift in the way that they think. Part of this, Pat, goes back to the first Earth Day, April the 22nd, 1970. And there was a book that came out called the Environmental Handbook. This Environmental Handbook was given to high school students, college students, and it was used as the text, the first real text for the environmental movement that could be put in the hands of school people, educators, school children, this type of thing. And what's interesting is you go through that book, in the very first few pages, in fact, the first real essay or chapter of the book, it describes the environmental crisis as landing in the laps of us as Christians. We're the one to blame. Christianity is the one to blame. And it takes Lynn White's famous essay on the history of the ecological crisis, and it reprints that essay in there, which says, Christianity, you're the ones who are at fault. In fact, the world is not going to see a renewed sense of ecology until we find a new religion to replace the old one. And then towards the end of the book, he actually gives a list of various religions that are acceptable, including witch doctors and shamans and mystical Catholicism through the teachings of Teilhard de Chardin. There's a whole list of earth-based religions that they say this is the acceptable way to go. But what's interesting is what happened with the church community, the Christian community, at that first Earth Day. Instead of us asking the question, are we really at fault? Instead of us saying or probing the accusation and really thinking about it and then responding to it with truth, instead what we did, Pat, is we waved the white flag and said, we've always been the good guys. We've always viewed ourselves as the good guys. Now all of a sudden we realize we're really the bad guys. We too need to change. We too need to embrace the earth the way the world is telling us to. And so instead of actually confronting the accusation and doing so in a way that was powerful and truthful, we capitulated. And that's what we've been doing ever since.
Yeah, I wonder, what do you think the difference would have made had the truly evangelical Christian church have raised some warnings on this early on? Do you think that would have made a difference, or?
I think it definitely would have stalled some of it. It may not have made a difference in the overall scheme, but at the very least, it would have created some tension. It would have created conflict and some clash, because what you're looking at here is an ideological struggle. But at the very least, it would have shut up a certain percentage of the liberal progressive voices that at that point in time were really poking at Christianity. Hey, when we capitulated like that, we more or less allowed that narrative, this narrative of the earth as being our mother, this narrative that the earth is where our loyalties and allegiances lies. We allowed that narrative to become the dominant narrative.
Exactly. The whole thing boils down to a conflict with the book of Genesis, where when the earth was created, when man was created, placed on the earth, man was the pinnacle of God's creation, clearly. And the earth was given to man with instructions to take dominion over the land, over the earth, for his maintenance and sustenance and enjoyment.
Right.
And this has been turned upside down completely, and to the point where man should rather serve the earth. In other words, the earth may well take dominion over man, and man is not the pinnacle of creation, but rather a product of the earth. And this is just diametrically opposed to the biblical narrative, for sure. And we see this concept or this thought all the way through all of these various religions, that man is to serve the earth, not the other way around.
That's right.
So God set it in place originally that the earth would be controlled and would serve the needs of man. And now it's just exactly the opposite. This is an ancient conflict between not just good and evil, but between God and Satan.
It is. The conflict extends into the sense that either reality, let me back up, either reality is God, distinct, separate, unique, utterly different than creation. In other words, the reality is built around the concept of two, God and everything else. Or God, man, and nature are intrinsically one. They're all connected, they're interdependent, it's a holistic system, it's wheels within wheels, and you cannot really find a point of separation. And that's what we're seeing today. That's the narrative that's coming into our culture, that God, man, and nature are essentially all one. That is the classic aspect of paganism. And when you take a look at what that looks like then politically, because it also has a political face. In fact, it has an economic face. It has a cultural face. Because if that is a dominant worldview, you will see that intersecting in so many areas. And so the political face of that is a sense of global governance, because we all now have to become one. We're becoming one in political function and political purpose. And of course, the purpose is aiming back at the earth, which ultimately aims back to us, because we're all now gods and goddesses. In fact, I was told that at the Parliament of World Religions, you are all Mother Earth walking. And so you cannot divorce the political ramifications of that religious worldview, whereas the biblical worldview, which says God is distinct and other, therefore means that as creatures of His, we've looked to Him as the one who gives us guidance and nourishment, and the one who we place our faith and our purpose and our trust in.
Right. It's ironic in America, especially. I don't know how it is in Canada, but in America, we have a big conflict going on for some time about separation of church and state. We have the ACLU running around suing anybody that they think they can sue and get away with, intimidation tactics to do everything from taking the Ten Commandments off of a courthouse wall to removing nativities from in front of any public buildings or elsewhere if they can pull it off. And this separation of church and state, which is kind of a bogus argument anyway, but aside from that, is basically to drive Christianity out of the public forum. And they've done a very good job. Mm-hmm. But this was all done on the basis that, well, the government can't force a religion down your throat. That's kind of the concept behind it. It's not right for the government to force some religion, state religion, down your throat. So we can't sponsor any religion, like Christianity especially. However, with the introduction of all of the Sustainable Development / Agenda 21 / 2030 Agenda / ad infinitum, this being impressed by our administration all over America, do you think that, in fact, that a de facto state religion has been established and is, in fact, being crammed down our throat?
Oh, I think so. We have a state religion. And the state becomes the cathedral. Our governments and halls of power become the cathedrals of this new religion. It becomes a point where the religion becomes activated, and it becomes activated through policies and through regulations and through bureaucracies, as it forces us now, whether they realize it or not, because this is how embedded that mindset has become. It forces them to pursue this goal in a religious-like fashion. It has a religious fervor. It makes the claim that it is the only truth, which is why you now, even within the climate community, and in terms of climate skepticism and climate alarmists, the climate alarmists are always saying, well, we have the truth. We have the only truth, because we've got our reports, we've got our climate change conferences, and anybody that dares question this narrative, well, you're dangerous. You're separating. You're against the accepted norm. It is interesting. We are looking at truth claims, and they're conflicting truth claims, because as this narrative, this new religion says, we have a truth claim, the biblical view also is we have a truth claim. And the truth claim held from the biblical position is that, no, sorry, man is not God, nature is not God, politics isn't the cathedral of religion. Anytime that man takes on the action of becoming as a god, the only thing we can do is kill. We are really lousy at creating life out of nothing. We've never been able to do it. But we have done a great job of being able to take life. It says, the biblical view basically says, no, you're not God. There is an exclusive truth claim. Jesus Christ said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. That's an exclusive truth claim. But it runs counter to the truth claim given by the proponents of this new global religion. They're both truth claims, but only one of them truly can be true, obviously, because they're in conflict and in contradiction.
They are. And you have people like Al Gore, of course, the poster child for global warming globally, recently said that climate deniers, that is, people who don't believe like him on climate change issues, global warming in particular, that climate change deniers should be punished. And he used that word, punished. And we've seen this theme, this meme come up in other writings now, where one side is trying to punish the other side for not believing the way it believes. Now, this was the kind of thinking that started the Inquisition once upon a time.
Right, that's exactly it. I was just going to say, that's the Inquisition. We have a new religious priesthood of politics and science, and we have a new Inquisition, or the release. We're on the edge of that concept of a new Inquisition. And it may look differently than the old Inquisition, obviously, but the same religious fervor is there.
Well, yeah, still, of course, Al Gore didn't say what punish means, which I'm glad he didn't go that far. But we've seen, since then, we've seen some intimation on what what it means to be punished, and basically it's exclusion from society. In other words, you can't play in our game at all if you are going to not go along with our belief system. Right. And even though their belief system is not carefully spelled out in religious terms, we see the religious backing behind this, and we realize, gee, they're talking in spiritual concepts, but they're using secular language.
Exactly.